Welcome to Archilingua, English for Architects. I'm your host, Zia.
And I'm Alec. It's great to have you with us. In today's episode, we're diving into a topic that many of us find challenging: how to speak confidently in architecture meetings.
That's right. This is our fourth episode, and we want to start by saying a huge thank you. We've been reading all your comments and messages, and we're so glad to hear that you're finding these episodes helpful. Your support really means a lot to us.
Absolutely. So let's talk about meetings. They are the backbone of any architectural project, but they can be incredibly stressful, especially if you're communicating in a non-native language.
Right, and the challenge isn't just about finding the right words. It's about feeling confident enough to share your ideas, to ask questions, and even to disagree when necessary.
hmm It often comes down to a few key skills: structuring your thoughts before you speak, presenting your point clearly, and making sure your language is collaborative.
Exactly. Things like using we instead of I to show you're speaking for the team, or knowing how to make complex technical information accessible to clients or other stakeholders.
And also knowing how to disagree diplomatically. You can challenge an idea without challenging the person. It's a subtle but crucial skill.
It really is. So today, we want to explore the kind of language that helps you achieve this. We'll look at how to be clear, confident, and professional in any meeting situation.
And a lot of that confidence comes before you even enter the meeting room or join the video call. I'm talking about preparation. It's a step that people often underestimate, but it makes a world of difference. Proper preparation is your secret weapon. Let's start by acknowledging how much meetings have changed, particularly since the pandemic. The shift to virtual collaboration was a huge one for our industry.
Oh, definitely. Tools like Zoom, Teams, and Miro have become our new meeting rooms, our new studio spaces.
Right, and one of the biggest consequences is that our teams have become much more international. It's common now to have architects, engineers, and clients dialing in from 3 or 4 different countries for a single meeting.
Which makes clear, simple, and professional English more important than ever. I was in a coordination meeting just last week for a new residential project, and it was a perfect example of this.
What happened?
Well, the structural engineer, who is brilliant, was explaining a very complex detail about the cantilevered balconies. He was using highly technical terms, and I could see on the screen that the client representative was starting to look completely lost.
Right, that's a classic situation.
It is. So I gently interrupted and said, "That's a very important point. Just to make sure we're all on the same page, could we perhaps explain what that means for the apartment layouts and the overall cost?" It immediately brought the conversation back to a level everyone could understand.
That's a fantastic technique. You're not questioning the engineer's expertise, you're reframing the information for the audience. It's about being a bridge. We had a similar thing happen recently. We needed to get the ball rolling on the facade design for a new office building.
Okay.
I had some very creative ideas, but I had some reservations about the sustainability of the proposed material. Instead of just saying, "I don't think that will work," I waited for a pause.
And how did you phrase your concern?
I said something like, "This is a really solid starting point, and I love the aesthetic direction. I'd like to flag a concern about the life cycle cost and embodied carbon of this particular material. Perhaps we could explore some alternatives that give us a similar look."
That's a perfect way to do it. You acknowledged the good work first, then framed your point as a collaborative exploration, not a criticism. That keeps the energy in the room positive.
Exactly. What about situations where you're asked for information you don't have? For instance, when a client asks for a cost estimate based on a very early concept sketch.
Ah, yes, the impossible question. That happened last month. I explained that it was too early for a precise number, but I could offer a ballpark figure based on similar projects. I was very clear about the assumptions I was making.
That's the key, isn't it? Managing expectations.
Yes, and we agreed that we would circle back to the budget once the concept design was more developed. It gives the client an answer without committing to an unrealistic number.
That's good meeting management. Sometimes you have to consciously decide not to discuss something. We often agree to table a discussion on a complex topic, like interior finishes, until the main structural decisions are finalized. It keeps the meeting focused.
I agree. And at the end of the meeting, it's crucial to summarize the action points. Who needs to touch base with whom before the next meeting? What are the specific details we need to iron out?
Yes, creating that clarity on the next steps is vital. It ensures everyone leaves the meeting knowing exactly how we plan to move forward. It's all about creating a sense of shared purpose and momentum.
That was a great discussion, Alec, and we used quite a few common phrases there. I think it would be helpful to take a moment and explain some of them.
I agree. So let's go through 10 of the key phrases we used. Zia, why don't you start us off?
Okay, the first one was to get the ball rolling. This simply means to start a process or an activity. When Alex said he wanted to get the ball rolling on the facade design, he meant he wanted to begin that phase of the work.
Exactly. Next up, we have on the same page. This is a very common idiom that means to have a shared understanding or to be in agreement about something. Zia used it when she wanted to make sure the client understood the engineer's technical point.
Right. The third one is to flag a concern. This is a very professional and non confrontational way to raise a potential issue or problem. It's softer than saying, I have a problem with this.
It is. It invites discussion. And that leads to our fourth phrase, a solid starting point. This is a positive expression used to acknowledge someone's idea or work, even if you plan to suggest changes. It shows you value their contribution before you add your own thoughts.
A very useful one. Number 5 is a ballpark figure. A ballpark figure is a rough estimate or an approximate number, not an exact calculation. It's perfect for early stage conversations about budget or timelines when you don't have all the details.
Indeed. Number 6 is to circle back. This means to return to a topic or a point later in the conversation or in a future meeting. It's a great way to keep a meeting on track when a new complicated issue appears.
And a similar phrase is number 7, to table a discussion. This means to formally postpone a discussion until a later time. You might table a topic because it's not the priority or because you need more information before you can discuss it productively.
That's right. Number 8 is to touch base. This is a simple one. It just means to make contact or speak with someone, usually briefly, to get an update or to align on something. For example, I'll touch base with a consultant tomorrow morning.
Perfect for action items. Number 9, to iron out the details. This means to resolve the final, smaller problems or clarify the specific points of a plan. It's what you do when the main concept is agreed upon and you need to make it work in reality.
And finally, number 10, to move forward. This is a positive, action-oriented phrase used to talk about making progress or proceeding with a project. It's a great way to conclude a discussion and signal that a decision has been made.
So those are 10 phrases that can really help you navigate architecture meetings with more confidence. The main takeaway is that your choice of words can create a more collaborative and productive atmosphere.
It's about being clear, respectful, and focused on solutions. And that brings us to the end of episode 4 of Archilingua. We sincerely hope you found it useful.
As always, you can find a full transcript of our conversation along with definitions for all the key vocabulary we discussed in the episode description below.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please consider subscribing to the podcast. And if you have a moment, a like or a comment helps us reach more architects like you.
And be sure to join us again next week. We'll be releasing our next episode titled The Architecture Lingo, 20 words and phrases architects use. It will be a fun and practical guide to the special vocabulary of our profession.
Until then, thank you so much for listening.
Bye for now.